What is this flared metal tube with lots of holes in it found at a flea market? It has some numbers etched in the pointed top section, but they're tough to read due to wear. It's a thin metal that looks fairly old, I guess. The top is rounded to a flat end, but there's a hole in the tip. The bottom is open enough to fit a light bulb in. Any ideas? It's a flame tube of a combustion chamber from a 1976 Rolls-Royce Dart turboshaft aero engine. It is designed for the release of huge amounts of heat energy, far more than my turbocharger gas turbine is likely to need. The combustion chamber consists of two shells, the inner one called the flame tube or liner, and the outer one, the housing. The Dart has a lot of these fitted around the engine. This is a clamp, but what does it clamp? When open, the jaws are 3/8 of an inch apart. When the lever at the bottom is closed, the jaws are 1/8 of an inch apart. I used to think it was a lathe tool rest, but on close inspection, it is some sort of clamp. Any ideas? It's a saw vise, a handsaw sharpening vise. It was patented on March 30th, 1886 by Obadiah Seeley of Syracuse, New York for the E.C. Stearns and Company. There's something about Stearns tools that seem to all have a subtle style to them. My father had one nearly identical to this one. What is this small metal cylinder with a small plastic piece with the letters N on one side and M on the other? I found this inside an old box in my grandmother's cabinet, and I have no idea what it is. Does anyone know anything about it? It's a replacement dual standard stylus for record player that should slot into the cartridge on the tone arm. One side of the metal tip has a large sapphire or diamond needle for playing 78 RPM shellac records. The other has a smaller one for playing 16, 33, or 45 RPM vinyls. You flip the plastic tab to either side of the tone arm to rotate it and select which needle is used. The N stands for normal and the M for microgroove, in which case it might be a relatively early example from when vinyls were still new technology. I think later dual standard style tend to be labeled 78 and LP instead. What is this gold statue I found in the attic of a newly purchased home? I just want to make sure I will not be cursing my entire bloodline by touching it. I really appreciate any help you can provide. It's a 1920s brass peacock folding fireplace screen. Here's the exact same piece sold for $729. When unfolded, it gracefully fans out like a peacock's tail. What are these glass tubes in the back of this old Cadillac? I saw this pulled up next to me on the road, and I'd never seen a car with these glass tubes before. Nobody I know can figure it out, and I can't seem to describe it well enough for Google. Any idea what it could be for? It's an old-school trunk air conditioning system. Here is a similar setup on a Packard. It blew air at you through vents in the ceiling like airplanes. The vents in the dash were usually just for heat and ventilation. That little scoop between the back window and the trunk lid is the fresh air intake for it. Cadillac switched from this to AC with dash vents in 1957. While air conditioners were invented in 1902, they took 37 years to make it into the first car in 1939, and another 25 years to become a fine-tuned factory feature in 1964. Packard Motor Car Company was the first car company to offer air conditioning in its cars in 1939. What is this red glass, about 2 inches in diameter, I found in a thrift store in New Jersey? It's very lightweight, it was found with other glass items, and it has designs and markings for measurement. On the side, it says teaspoon desert table, and on top of the knob it says pat applied for. What is this used to measure? Any thoughts? It's the lid of a household measuring cup, made by Westmoreland Specialty Company circa 1896. It's a measuring cup with various units of measurement on either side. Here's a similar mug from President William McKinley's presidential election campaign in 1897. It says Major W.M. McKinley in the center, and protection and prosperity is above the bust. There's also one, just like this one in the Brooklyn Museum. What is this, some kind of heater I found in an electronics recycling bin in Ohio? It's a standard size utility electrical box with an Edison base screw-in heater and a momentary switch on the top of the box. I can't find the Safelight Corporation in Anna, Illinois. Safelight makes auto glass. Any ideas? It's a cigarette lighter from the 1930s to the 50s, manufactured by the Eagle Electric Manufacturing Company in Long Island City, New York. I can't find the exact model though, but this is the same company as in your picture, Eagle. They used to make electronic lighters. Can anyone tell me what this is exactly and what it would be worth? It was in my dad's barn for years and I inherited it, so I have no idea what it was used for. I really love antiques, but this thing is so big, I have never seen anything like it, and it works perfect. The best I can research is a corn shucker. Thanks for any help. It's an antique feed cutter. It was patented as feed roller for straw cutters on November 15, 1853, by Robert Sinclair Jr. and Richard F. Maynard of Baltimore, Maryland. A feed chopper cuts straw, hay, or oats into small pieces for mixing with other forage to feed horses and cattle. This helps the animals digest their food. An experienced operator on the original treadle version of this machine produced 40 bushels of chaff per day. But the invention of the hand crank feed cutter in the 1840s made the task easier. Here's one on WorthPoint for $150. What is this thing I found buried amongst my late grandmother's kitchen utensils? Around 6 inches long and 1.5 inches at its widest point. It's old, I'm guessing from the 60s, and no maker's mark. I can't for the life of me tell what it does. It was at the back of the drawer underneath countless other kitchen gadgets. I'd be really interested to know what this is or what it's used for. Please let us know down in the comments. Thanks for watching. Let's make life fun.